Let's get into it. I woke up at 7:30. I did some stretching. Then I went to the kitchen and got some water. I rehydrated really well. I went back into my room and I turned on the television and turned on my PlayStation 4 and I went to the YouTube app where I watched an analysis of this thing called the Boogosphere, which is apparently a sphere that was found, I think, in Colombia, which was like made of metal and had special symbols and things all over it. Apparently, people who were researching it wanted to find out what was going on inside of it without cutting it open. So they got a professional scientist to come in to do some tests, and apparently, just from scraping a bit of the Boogosphere off and analyzing what he found, he concluded that there was some form of fiber optics in the sphere. This is coming from a YouTube channel, which at the time I thought was an American YouTube channel, but it turns out it was actually a Spanish YouTube channel that was dubbed in English using AI. The AI was pretty convincing for the first minute or two, and then I realized that the voice did not match the lip sync. And then I realized, oh, now it's all coming together. I'd say the Boogosphere is fascinating. Hold on one second. My foot was itchy. But overall, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be something done with it to definitively prove it's a device that's truly out of this world. Someone in the comments section said something that I thought was really clever. If it's supposedly a device that can defy gravity or have some form of a failsafe, why not throw the device off from a high-story building onto the ground? Shouldn't it have some sort of failsafe that detects that it's near a hard surface, and so it turns on its gravitational technology to slow down before lightly falling back on the floor? So that's definitely something that I think they should try and do if this thing is a legit sphere and not a bogus sphere. See what I did there? Anyways, I got very hungry, so I went to the kitchen and I needed to dig through so much stuff through the pantry just to get to the oatmeal because I was in the mood for some delicious oatmeal. Yeah, it's go time, baby. So once I had the oatmeal, I put some brown sugar in that, mixed it together, put some milk in, and chomped on that real good. After I was done eating that, my mom needed to go to work, and our family friend needed to go a doctor's appointment, I believe, if I'm not being mistaken, or physical therapy, I think it was. So they each left, and so I decided to watch a video where a guy was talking about how we are at the precipice of a major shift in humanity, where before there was the agricultural revolution, then there was the Bronze Age, then there was like the Industrial Revolution, and now we're nearing the automation revolution. And I brought this up many times before in my other videos, but it is definitely feeling like we're reaching the tail end of an era for humanity and the beginning of a new one. Is this new era something that we should be excited about or fearful of? I guess we're going to find out soon enough. All I know is it feels like we're currently chilling at the after party of the end of an era for humanity, and we're just waiting for the custodians to come and tell us, okay, you can leave now, party's over. And that's when we get into the real juicy stuff. Well, anyways, I stopped watching the video after the guy was talking about lab-grown meat because I was like, no one wants to eat lab-grown meat. Let's just eat normal meat because lab-grown meat just sounds unappealing. And then I watched the Digital Foundry video on Street Fighter 6 for the Nintendo Switch 2 just to see how that game looked and ran. I've got to say, it looks quite impressive, and I will be looking forward to trying that out when they release an OLED version of Switch 2, because LCD is so 2005 technology. Come on, Nintendo. We don't want LCDs. We want OLEDs. Also, stop your terrible business practices, too. But anyways, I love looking at explorations of new technological features. I always find it very fascinating, seeing how far we're coming. And then needed to get dressed for work. So I did just that. And I was ready to go. And once I was ready, I drove off. Once I parked the car, I got out and I walked in and punched in. The first hour was spent bagging. I've got to be honest, I was very quiet and I was very low energy today. I did not feel like I really wanted to get super involved this time around. I just wanted to do the bare minimum today. I don't know if it was because like I had low blood sugar or I just had no energy. I did not want to be like, hello, how you doing? Instead I was like, okay, let's do this, So let's move on. Second hour was lot. Pushed myself through that. And then the next 2 hours was bagging. Went by smoothly. Nothing too crazy to report. And again, I went on my break and I did my breathing exercises, as I most of the time do. Sometimes I don't, but this time I did. And then I punched out for my lunch break. I drove home, and our family friend had rice and beef with a mushroom sauce ready for me when I got there, which was very nice for her. And I really do appreciate that, for sure. So I ate that, and then for dessert, I had Pops cereal because our family friend got this package that had a bunch of mini cereal boxes inside of it. So they were like little containers that gave you just one serving of cereal, I guess for portion control's sake. So I had that with some milk and coffee, and then I hopped back to work. And during my whole lunch, I watched 3 different videos. The first one was a guy called Capersight reacting to Anunnaki broadcast hijack that apparently happened with some people. I think it's just some TikTok trend gimmick and not real, but it was pretty funny watching me react to that anyways. The other one was a brand new video from the YouTube channel Red Letter Media, a movie review channel called Half in the Bag, where they covered the half of the films that came out in 2025, because we're halfway through the end of the year. And then I listened to, and that was a good video too, by the way. And then I listened to these guys from a YouTube channel called Switch Up talk about backwards compatibility ports being better on the new console than they are in the old console, which was very interesting to hear. I then needed to go back to work, and on my way to work, I decided to listen to 2 songs. One was Proclaimers' I'm on My Way, and the other one was On Top of the World and The Carpenters. There we go. It was quite pleasant. When I drove back up, 3 hours awaited me of front end work, but all of the check stands were taken up, so I ended up spending an hour and a half wiping the windows in the alcohol section while singing to myself. It's how it be. When that was done, I walked back to the bagging area, and I bagged for a good half hour before asking for my last break. And for my last break, I decided to meditate while listening to binaural beats. It was nice. And then it was time for 1 more hour of bagging, and then 1 final hour of lot. After lot, I punched out, said goodbye to everyone, and I drove home. When I got home, I was, on my way home, I was listening to a guy on YouTube read. Apparently, there was a guy on 4chan who said he was like this secret leaker of an alien base. But the story was very ridiculous because apparently his head was covered in a burlap sack the whole time, but he could sense what the beings were doing. It sounded very silly, but a lot of the stuff that was said in the video was also quite interesting, like how the aliens have a knowledge of like quantum mechanics, how they're able to bend that to their will. Well, after watching that, or listening to it, I got out a coffee Haagen-Dazs ice cream bar. I ate that, and then I chilled on my bed while reading news about Apple's revision of the Vision Pro coming soon. My mom asked if there was any YouTube videos for us to watch together. One of my favorite YouTubers released a brand new video recently called The Monolith. So I decided, let's check this out, see what this video is. So we did. When we watched it, it was a pretty good video. It was basically about that monolith, the metal monolith that was advertised back in 2020, and apparently there was a big controversy about it for being in like land that was supposed to be natural land. But because it was discovered around the turn of the pandemic, people wanted to have something to do when they finally were given the chance to get out of their homes. So a lot of people decided to go and seek refuge to this monolith in the middle of the desert to see what it was all about. And yeah, pretty interesting. It was pretty much a good statement on how we enjoy creating foreign objects and putting them in natural environments to show our either our ingenuity or our greater curiosity and ideas of how to get to grips with the world we're living in. Really good video. I liked it. Then I got really antsy and I wanted to edit my YouTube video for Brain Jam Extra. So I said goodbye to my mom and our family friend. I went in my room and I spent a good hour editing the video. And I was able to cut a good chunk of footage out to help make it flow a bit better. It's getting closer to being done, but as soon as I make a new Brain Jam Extra episode, for sure, I am not going to record myself doing the whole thing from beginning to end. Instead, I'm just gonna do it, and then when I'm done, I'll record myself talking about my process and showing my work, and then make that a tight, like 10 to 15 minute video instead of like a half-hour long extravaganza of me figuring out how to make my ideas work. Anyways, after an hour of editing, I said goodnight to my mom and family friend. I took my vitamins, brushed my teeth, and now it is time for bed. So thank you for listening, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.